The grindhouse heads to a halfway house full of the mentally disturbed and actually doesn't come off as offensively outdated as you might think. Howdy doody all you creepy crazies, Sugarpants the psychiatric silly man here with another cracked chronicle from the crypt. Today we tackle 1973's Don't Look in the Basement. A fractured fable whose title makes me wonder why the hell I haven't gotten around to it until my 5th year of content. So let's check in with Abraxas and see what we can see in that inkblot test we call the sleaze docket.
We have 9 dead bodies, 7 cups blood, 5 naked breasts, phone cord cuttery, corpse cuddling, hand burning corporal punishment, retired one day too late cliché, harbinger of impending doom cliché, gratuitous phone repairman shtick, gratuitous lunatic cackling, 1 strangled nurse, 1 teen killing, spike impaled eye shove, bitten off tongue, but it's off camera. 1 slashed throat, but it's also off camera. Axe to the back, axe to the chest, repeated axe to the chest, and ominous sitar music.
Our movie begins at a large apartment complex turned mental institution with a quick run-through of some of the patients who live there. We see Sergeant, who can't let go of the war. Harriet, the grieving mother who's convinced a doll is her real-life baby and is fiercely protective of her. Simple Sam, who's mostly interested in playing with his boat and naming off what kinds of soup he's had. Jennifer, who doesn't say much at all. And then there's Danny Bonaducci. Well, not really, but that's all I saw. Out in the courtyard, Dr. Stevens is teaching Judge the best way to swing an axe, aggressively encouraging him the whole way. Nurse Jane approaches to say she's reached the end of her ability to remain an employee of the good doctor due to threats she's received from the patients. You see, Dr. Stevens is running his facility in a radical new way. Instead of trying to block whatever it is the patient is suffering from using medication or brain surgeries or whatever they were doing in the 70s, he's allowing them to live through their psychoses in the hopes that eventually they'll reach some form of sanity on the other side. And then Judge puts an axe through the good doctor's back.
Put it down, Judge!
Dr. Masters runs out to help, manages to get the axe away from Judge, and convinces him to go inside. She then tells Sam that she'll be the one to take care of the family. Nurse Jane runs inside to finish packing her bags to leave. In the other room, Harriet finds her baby doll is missing from its carriage, and she runs screaming through the hallways. She finds it lying precariously on Nurse Jane's dresser, and then strangles the nurse to death. And all of this happens before the opening title sequence. The rest of the movie belongs to Charlotte. She's a young registered nurse fascinated with Dr. Stevens' experimental work, arriving for her first day on the job. Dr. Masters is very skeptical of her claims of employment, as Dr. Stevens never said anything about her. She tells Charlotte that she has taken over after Stephen's death, and considering the recent loss of Steph, she begrudgingly agrees to keep her on. At least for the time being. From that point on, Charlotte interacts with the patients of the house and slowly starts to realize something isn't quite right. Now, after the pre-credit segment, Don't Look in the Basement becomes an incredibly slow burn horror movie. It actually was a little too slow for my own tastes. But I'd be lying if I said I wasn't glued to the screen wondering where it was all going. I just kind of wish it got there a little bit quicker. Now, I'm actually going to spoil some of the details of the rest of the movie, so if you want to avoid that, please skip to this time. This movie comes with a twist that might have been something back in 1973. But in a post-M. Night Shyamalama Ding Dong world, it's pretty easy to see it coming long before it gets there. While I won't say what the twist is, I will say at first I thought the whole movie felt like an extra long episode of The Twilight Zone. But then I realized it was more like The Outer Limits. Or more specifically, one of those episodes of The Outer Limits that even the fans didn't like. All the parts are there, but it's still pretty basic and could have been handled a lot better. It's a movie I don't regret watching, but it's very unlikely I'll give it a second viewing. All of the movie's depth and mystique is gone in a single viewing, and there's just not much left to see. It's very much a surface-level movie. The gore is serviceable, but nothing too shocking. The acting is above what you'd expect for a grindhouse flick, but only slightly. Some scenes definitely feel like a community theater production. Now, all that being said, I will admit that I was very pleasantly surprised at how a 70s movie handled the patients of the house. Other than Laughing Boy here, none of them really felt like a disrespectful portrayal. I fully expected it to be a lot more exploitative than it did. Though, going by today's standards, I will say it's kind of interesting what constituted a mentally unwell individual almost 50 years ago. Most of what's going on at this facility these days wouldn't need more than a monthly trip to the pharmacist, or an emotional support animal, or even semi-regular psychiatrist sessions. So I'll only be recommending this one if you're a big fan of grindhouse movies. It doesn't even come close to approaching such classics like I Spit on Your Grave or The Last House on the Left, but it's not a movie I regret watching. I think the biggest issue is how little of a story there is to tell. Cut off a solid 30 to 40 minutes from the runtime and slap it in the middle of an anthology with 2 or 3 other stories, and I think it would have been a much better product. Now, with that psychotropic cinematic cesspool certified, it's time to bid you all a fond farewell. And until the next nauseous nightmare, this is your ooey gooey gorehound Sugarpants. See you in your dreams.
Do you get out often?
It's you who need to get out.
Yes, I remember. You were going to tell me why.
Oh, up the airy mountain, down the rushing glen, we cannot go hunting because of little men.